Taurus.
Hey Taurus, happy birthday. This is your birthday month, and so you got a lot going on there in the first house of personality this month. You have the sun, you got the new moon, and you've got Mars there. And so this is the area where you're going to be expressing your energy outwards. And for this year, you have Mars in that first house. That only happens every other year. So for you right now, you're feeling very attuned with your drive, your goals. You've been active here throughout that here of April, and coming into May, you'll still have this drive with you for another extended, say, week or 10 days or so, as Mars now is laying down the groundwork for what it wants to build over these next 2 years. Later in the month here, Mars will be moving into your second house of money and income. So here you're going to see that you're going to be driving your goals forward with tweaking numbers, looking over the money that you make, the income streams that you have, how you can tweak it, improve it, expand it. And being a Taurus, that's an area that you're comfortable with. So I see that this is something that is really going to behoove you. And since Mars then will be into the sign of Gemini, it's all about communication, who you're talking with, and who will perhaps be the door opener to your expanded, shall I say, source of income or income streams. So that is good for you. And the new moon also here in that first house is essential. You have a new moon here just once every year. And since it's the area of personality, you want to put your intentions down here now, Taurus, to make sure that you have enough me time, since it is the house of I am, the me, myself, and so, and I. And the new moon here is also the time for you when you put down or write out that abundance check for yourself by the law of attraction, attracting more money and wealth and prosperity into your life. More about that on my channel. You'll see how to write out your abundance check. If you don't know how to, well, here, this is the time that you would like to do so. The new moon is on May 17th, so circle that in on your calendar and make sure that you have your check written out on that day. So moving on here, we have also Mercury right now here, starting off top of the month here of May 1st in your second house. And the second house is for money, income, and so forth. Mercury is how you think about it. And you have Venus in this area. So those two together here will definitely put you on the map of how you can visualize and attract and also crunch some numbers to really up your game here and get on top of it so you can set yourself in a good way for the following coming months when Mercury and Venus has its attention elsewhere. But at least right now, focus on it. Make the most, harness these energies. Now, the full moon here is 13 degrees in Scorpio on May 3rd. This is going to affect your area of love and relationships. Not necessarily the fifth house relationships. This is the seventh house of committed relationships. So the full moon is going to bring things up to the surface. You might be a little bit more sensitive on this day, or maybe your partner is, and you will be able to illuminate a little bit more on your emotions and how you feel. So that's May 3rd. Now we have Mercury going retrograde this month, and that will be, depending on where you live, either on the 18th or 19th, and it will be retrograde to June 11th or 12th. So this retrograde for you is taking place here in the second house, moving back into the first house there, and will stay until the 12th. So it's not a time actually to move forward on new contracts, putting your name on the dotted line if you don't have to. Sometimes we just have to. Life goes on. Or like they say, the show must go on, right? But if you can wait to after the 11th or 12th, that would be the best for you. Mercury here will also perhaps bring people and situations back into the here and now, or news from friends you haven't heard from for a long time. So it could be a social time as well for you, Taurus. Now, the overall of this month, we have decisions. We have several squares, we got several oppositions. So it's a time where we want to contemplate major decisions before we jump. That's going to be more next month. We're going to see a flow in that direction. But here for May, things will be brought up. So you will be given the opportunity to look into these decisions, whether you want them or not. I'm feeling we have a lot of yellow lights. Some of them will switch to red, some of them will switch to green. So don't be too quick, all right? Starting here off on the 3rd, we have Mercury. Our thoughts, our communication is opposing Saturn, which is the sense of authority, whether it's our own inner higher authority, or it could be an external authority, like a boss or the government. But on this day here, we're really looking at Saturn asking us, do you want this, or what would the consequence be if you so desire or choose to? Because in that case, well, then of course, you know, Saturn rules karma too. If you don't have to make a decision on the 3rd, hang in there a little bit, because both on the 4th and the 6th, there's more information coming in. The Sun and Jupiter are squaring off on the 4th, so it's not a good time. 3rd and 4th is like being between a rock and a hard place. What do? You do nothing. You just simply wait. Sometimes doing nothing is in all actuality, can't talk today, is doing something. That of knowing when to wait is wisdom, right? On the 6th, you will have a little bit more of conviction as the Sun and Pluto comes in as a trine. Now that Sun for you is the 1st house, Pluto for you is the 9th house, so that is you and higher understanding, insight, knowledge. That's all that 9th house energy will suddenly be clear to you what it is you need to do upon what took place earlier in the month. Now there might be a little disappointment here between the 9th and the 15th. This is first because Neptune and Mercury, they're going to square off on each other. So there might be a little hope that you had. There might be a little bubble that's going to burst on the 9th, where you might get some news, maybe a delay or something being set off. And this is right before Mercury turns retrograde too, but it's squaring off on Neptune as it's slowing down towards that retrograde. So don't get too disappointed. We have rain checks for a reason, right? On the 15th, Mars, your drive, your action, your desire, your goal orientation is now up against Saturn, just like Mercury was there on the 3rd, but now it's your drive. And it's hard because when you want to move, right? You're willful. But Saturn's saying, hang a second, you know, do you really want to move in this direction? And why does the universe question us, if not for a reason? Sure, we can get all frustrated. That's the human side of us. We want to act when we feel ready. But if the universe puts the brakes on, it's always for a good reason. So listen in. What's going on there on the 15th for you? And it doesn't hurt to wait, okay? Because other things will be coming in from behind the veil and reveal itself for you. On the 16th, it is a day where you can feel romantically very at ease and in the flow, so to speak. So this is beautiful. Neptune is that higher octave of Venus, so it's just that much more romantic and emotional. 22nd, though, that very Venus that was romantic is now up against Pluto. They're opposing one another, and they both rule money. Venus in a day-to-day way, personal belongings. Pluto is more like bigger money, perhaps. So it might be a day where you need to discuss what money goes out, what you need to keep or hold aside. Should we purchase this or should we hold off? Now, it's not really helping here on the 23rd, the day later, when the Sun is opposing Saturn. And once again, Saturn is asking, do you really want this? Do you need this? And if so, Why? And what will the consequences be if you take this action? So, not easy days, the 22nd and 3rd, and straight through to the 26th. And this is why. Venus will square on Uranus, Mars will square on Neptune. What you thought perhaps in April you were really moving ahead, there's a feeling of new beginnings because of the eclipses. And yes, you are in these new beginnings. But I think this is why the universe is putting on these breaks, because whatever you begin and start now, you want to make sure that the foundation you set is good. Because what foundation you're setting up here now in May is going to linger not just for months, but maybe years to come. So it's important that you make these changes, these beginnings, good in long term. So we don't want to just jump into it. It's harder to change a pattern, say months or years from now, because why? Whoever is involved, whether it's your partner or whoever else, they will say, well, you agreed to this back then. Why are you changing now? Right? So think. This is a time not to move too quickly, but get it right. Venus squaring off on Uranus. Well, Venus, money or love, is going to turn around on something on the 25th. Mars square Neptune on the 26th. That's your drive, your goal, your ambition. Neptune, your hopes and dreams. Well, both of these can burst a bubble. Maybe something's not living up to your expectations or what you have anticipated. But don't be too saddened by this. You just want to be the observer. If you're taking things personally, you're going to feel it. If you go up to the observer level and look down at the valley below, which is your life, and look at why things are happening, there's no emotion when you observe. There's a lot of emotion when we are within it on a personal level. So these shifts are good. You will see the outcome of this here more so next month in June, because as we're moving out of the oppositions, we're moving out of the squares, we're moving into harmonious aspects in June, which will really then show you why the brakes were put on. And then that would be a great time for you to really move ahead. But for now, observe what's going on so that you can tweak it. Remember too, Mercury is retrograde. Also, actually, I would say it's perfect to be retrograde this month just because of everything else going on. It will allow you to step back and not jump this month. But I have to say that with the energies that are showing up, a lot is starting to take on shape and form for you. So it's only beginnings, and since there's squares, you are given the option of, you're giving the power of, from the universe to make your choice and say, I want this, but I don't want that. So even on the 29th and 31st, end of the month, we still have another couple of squares. Mercury and Neptune, the Sun and Neptune. Once again, there might be some little bubbles of hope or expectations that might not be fulfilled. But then again, think the word rain check. Do not take it personally, because either it may be you that where things are coming up or changing, shifting quickly on you because of the retrograde, where you can't follow through an appointment, but you can also come to experience that maybe your significant other, or it might be your friends or family members, or a meeting that might shift and say they have to take a rain check. So it is what it is. This month is actually, if you observe, you'll have a little smile on your face and you'll say, yep, that's retrograde for you. Okay? So it's all about here now. The most important for you to put down your intentions, your first house, experience that full moon there on the 3rd within your relationship, because that's going to illuminate something for you. It's also important for you to really look at what's going on in your financial sectors this month. And the more you can do that this month, you'll see what it's going to do for you in June. So that's pretty much what we have here for you now, Taurus, for this month, and I'll see you next month. And thank you for liking, and thank you for commenting, and thank you for subscribing.